Hello again. Alrighty. Well, yesterday it rained like crazy out here. We're in the middle of the Arizona desert. We got 1.82 inches. So I wasn't able to do any work outside. So I couldn't go sand, couldn't run groove lines or anything like that. So I took advantage of the time and I did some painting. And this is what the chest piece is looking like. Now the N7 logo is not glued in place yet because I am going to have to put a second coat on here, but I'm pretty thrilled with the results. It looks pretty good, I think. I was able to find, actually, some Rust-Oleum satin black paint when I was going down to pick up the quart. So I'm going with a satin black. It's going to have a little bit of gloss to it, but not have that mirror-like look that the gloss black. I just wasn't getting into the flat black. Now, one thing that I did say you're going to have to do is when you have these smooth, untextured edges on the foam, you're going to have to seal it somehow. And I did a little research, did a little experimenting, and I came up with a couple of different ways to do it. The way that seems to work the best is to take some just Elmer's white glue or any white glue. There's also this craft stuff you can get called Mod Podge, I think. And basically, you mix it with water, 1-to-1. It's going to come out looking like milk, but it's really going to be the consistency of snot. And what you're going to do is you're just going to take a brush, just a regular little brush, and paint that on the flat, untextured areas that you have. And I think it worked pretty well. Now the thing is, you're going to have to do this over and over again. So you paint a coat of the stuff on there. You're going to have to wait 20, 30, maybe 45 minutes for it to dry, depending on some outside factors, and then just paint another coat. So just keep going around, do the arm pieces, do the chest piece, do the shoulder piece, do these little doohickeys that go in the arm pieces, go back to the arm pieces, and so on. So that's what I did there. Now, that worked pretty well. I also tried out this stuff. Oops, and there went my paintbrush. This stuff, this is Minwax Polycrylic. It's a water-based polyurethane, and that's what it looks like there. Now, I did a kind of a hybrid technique when I was working on these pieces right here, and what I did was put a couple of coats of paint on, then went back to seal it with the glue. And then after I did that, I put another coat of paint on, and then I buffed the coat of paint after it dried with some waterproof sandpaper. As you can see here, this is ultra fine 600 grit stuff. You've got to do it very, very lightly because it will take the paint off, but basically what you're doing is you're just buffing down the rough spots on the paint, and that's going to give the paint something to a nice flat surface to adhere to. Overall, pretty pleased with the results. Could be happier, but a lot of work, especially considering that this paint, the Rust-Oleum that I'm using, needs a long time to cure. Now, I do need to go back and put a second coat of paint on this, and one of the things I'm planning to do is, of course, buff these untextured panels that I have here with the sandpaper. But the thing is, I can't do that until the paint is completely 100% to the touch dry. Now, this is an old piece I used for just testing purposes, and if I push my thumb into it, it comes up pretty cleanly, and you're not going to be able to see or hear any of that right here, or maybe you can. Okay, don't know if you can hear that or not, but my finger is sticking to it ever so light. I mean, it's just barely tacky. I mean, it's not leaving anything on my fingers, but when you touch it, you can feel it. So you can tell when it's completely dry. So it needs a minimum of 24 hours. And I did this last night, so it's got a ways to go. It needs a minimum of 24 hours, and probably 48 would be better if you're going to put multiple coats on there. So with that, let's go to the next step. I want to show you real quick the shoulder guards. Sorry, it has some schmutz on there. They look pretty good, as you can see. I do need to go through and I have to paint the white and red stripe on them here. And for the red stripe, I found this. This is Valspar Gloss Cherry Latex Enamel in a pint can. I'm going to give it a shot, see if I like the results. If they look good, then I'm going to go ahead and use it. If not, then I'll figure something else out. So anyway, going back to this, as you can see here, here's the cut edges and they were sealed and painted, but they definitely need a second coat, and of course I have to wait for that to finish curing. So there's that. Now, the next thing I have is this little box right here, and this is the box that's going to be the shield generator on your back. And here's what it looks like, or here's the template that is. Now, one thing I want to point out is these little, well, I guess notches outside this line. This is not a detail line. This is an actual bend line, as you can see on here. And what I did was, I went outside this morning, dry enough, and I cut a 3/8 inch wide groove down the foam, and then heated the foam up, and then bent it back on itself very tightly. Folded it into place very, very nicely. Now the thing is, I'm not too happy with the way that joint looks, but I'm hoping I can fill it with a little bit of glue and then paint over it and it'll look all right. And then of course, when it sits on the back, the angle that most people are going to be seeing it at is something like that to something like that. So they're not going to be getting a good look at it. Getting a good look at those particular details, I hope. Now, one thing that does have to get done is there's a piece of foam that's going to actually end up getting cut to fit into, well, this area right here. And the thing is, that's going to be cut to fit. So after you get this, cut, shaped, sanded, ready to go, then you're going to cut out another piece of foam to fit. Now, another thing I want to point out is that the wings on this, or the folded down areas right here, it says 1.25 inches on the side here, and the height here, well, the overall height of this is 1 3/8 inches, I think, and the height right here from the bottom of this foam to the bottom of this foam. So in other words, how high is this right here? That's going to be, I think that's about 7/8 of an inch. Now, I made that decision carefully because this is the EO wire, the electroluminescent wiring. Let me turn it on for you. And even with the sunlight coming in the window, you can see how bright it is. It's got 3 settings, actually. It's got that steady glow, it's got the slow flash, it's got the fast flash, but I'm going to just use the steady glow when I'm running this thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work it through these little plastic tubes that I cut for the shield holders, and I'm going to run that back and forth 2 or 3 times, and again, I think the effect is going to look pretty good. I was thinking about getting some motion wiring, but the motion wiring is just a little too dim, doesn't show up well enough, and where I'm going to be, I expect it to be fairly bright. So anyway, the inverter box that you see right here has a couple AA batteries, and it had a little belt clip right here. Now I took the belt clip off, and this is it right here. And the reason for that is I want this thing to lay as flat as I can. Now, this goes back to your box, or your shield generator box right here, because as you can see, when it's sitting on the foam, this is just going to tuck in there just like that. All the wiring is going to be down there and hidden, but anytime you need to grab it, take it out, just grab the wire and lift it right out, and there you go. How you can hold it in place? Well, that's what this piece is for. So you cut this piece, you put it into place. It's going to sit in the it's going to sit on the inside in there. So when you drop this this box in there, it'll just rest on the top of the foam and out of sight. So now on the back side, real quick, and this should work out for you pretty quick. As you see, there's a 3-inch circle here, and your wiring is actually going to run in the circle around on this. So all I'm going to do there is I'm going to take a metal cookie cutter, circular cookie cutter, heat it up with the heat gun, run it in a circle, just twist it back and forth in place a few times so I get a groove, run the wiring up, EO wire up through the hole, around the groove, back down through the hole, and then just push the EO wire into place. And I'll show you that later video, how all that works. So anyway, I hope all that helps. I'm going to go ahead and get this posted, and hope to talk to you again soon. Bye.